Raymond, we're about to have a conversation with Ricky Dickson, former CEO, president of Bluebell Ice Cream. What do you think, given all of our conversations about anxiousness and fear, what do you think some of the big fears are out there in the United States social strata?
Oh, I think older people like you and I are really concerned about the stability because we see the world changing so radically. It's not clear whether we're going to have retirement, whether the system's going to crash, that sort of thing. I think young people, their biggest fear is that their life is completely meaningless, that they're just wasting time until they die.
And that kind of backs up some of the conversations we've had with Curtis Chang, Ashley Chestnut, Phil Carey, right? Those are the same kind of themes we've heard.
Oh, absolutely. And the whole Nick Westbrook about his Chick-fil-A, that people, when he recruits them, he needs to find people that already recognize they're here to serve other people and that they want to join a community that really is trying to do something that's meaningful.
One of the questions we got to get cleared up before this episode ends is, Ricky, why don't you weigh 476 pounds?
Well, y'all have had the ice cream. It's just that good.
Ricky Dickson, we are so grateful you join us today on the Disciple Dilemma.
Well, it is great to be here. No question about it. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, Ricky, I'm looking forward to our discussion. It seems like a fascinating background you have grappling with some of the major issues in large companies and then trying to navigate your way as a Christian through all that stuff. So it should be a fun discussion. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you.
So, as we start this journey into discipleship using the title Hope, Fear, Ice Cream, and Discipleship, we've got the former CEO and president of Bluebell Ice Cream, which is one of my known addictions. And I don't know whether to thank you or revile you for that, Ricky. But as we get into this, my rap sheet sources tell me that you've been out doing a commencement here recently. Is that true?
That is true. That is true. I was so honored to be asked to speak at Oklahoma Baptist University to the graduates, and just was really blessed by not only being asked but being a part of that.
What would you want folks to really take away as they start looking at one scoop at a time and start saying, should I pick that book up? What do you want people to hear as sort of your infomercial here?
Well, I love that, by the way. It's different for me because it's always been ice cream. It's that scoop over my shoulder that if I have that on a cone, I'm a pretty good salesman. But I would say that really, if you look at the title of the book, it's Story and Lessons from Fear to Faith, one scoop at a time. And so it's my journey, how I chased a girl to Baylor. I had a passion for her. She had a passion for Baylor. I didn't care where I went. I just wanted to be with her. We got there the first week we were there, and we broke up. So that was the first scoop. I think that while I was there, I was just given the assignment to write the paper on the company, or I picked the company to write it on, and I felt like that was God opening that door. And so after that, the book itself goes through some of the hard times, some of the fun times, some of the just kind of crazy times. I pick on myself a lot, which is fine, but then also talk about ice cream and the effect that the product itself has had. And want to say the impact. Just we've had some unbelievable testimonial letters, and which motivates me to make sure that we're doing what we can to make it the best we can. We have a saying that is, we want to consistently meet the expectation that drives that passion. So if you are a lover of Millennium Crunch or butter pecan, when you go and you get it and you scoop that first scoop and eat that first bite, you want it to taste like you remembered it before. So that's where the consistently comes in. And it's just amazing how we make flavors and people swear we made it specifically for them. And that's okay if that's what they want to think. Them and maybe a couple of their friends. But It's about creating memories. And ice cream is a product that whether it be a great day or a really bad day, it's a friend you can count on at the end of the day to get you through.
Like you said to the graduates, life has meaning and purpose, and certainly God made some of us to be welders and machinists and other things. So how did you grapple with the workforce challenge in your time as a company?
We definitely were affected just like everyone else. I will say that one of the reasons I went to work for Bluebell in the beginning was the culture in which I saw. I wrote a paper on Bluebell. That's in the book on how I found my way to a little ice cream company in Brenham, Texas, which is a story in all itself. But it was just really the culture, and it was more than maybe what you're making per hour. It was more than the hard part of it, meaning the physical part of it. Now you do have all the ice cream you can eat during the day is a perk. But what I also have found is if you stay at least a year and you can get a hold of that culture and you look at it as this company's here for the long haul. If we all work hard together, there's promise down the road, and not just that instant gratification or instant what's in it for me, but in it for me today. I'll figure out tomorrow, whatever attitude.
Ricky, when I looked at this stuff, there was sort of a challenge to me because you talked about overcoming fear, and when we overcome fear, we can do the right thing. And I'm as much interested as a disciple in how do I know what the right thing is? I mean, it's one thing to say that I shouldn't have any fear if I just have the courage to rely on Christ and do the right thing, but a lot of the decisions are really difficult. How do I know what the right thing is? How do I overcome fear when I'm not even sure which thing is the right thing to do?
Fear to me is the unknown. I'm fear of the outcome of a diagnosis, or I'm fearful of the job move, or whatever it might be. It's what's the unknown to that fear, and so to be able to get to a peace that passes all understanding in the middle of the fear, and that's really the heart and soul of the book, is how do I get to a place where I can have peace, even though the waves are coming over the boat. I gravitate to Mark 4. I read that scripture repeatedly on the fact that the disciples are out. He goes to the front of the boat. He's asleep. Water's coming over the bow. It's filling up the boat. They're doing all they can to get the water out of the boat. And they realize this isn't working. And they go wake him up. And, I've always wondered, how in the world does he sleep during this? But the fact that he not only he gets up and he calms, but he says, you have a little faith, meaning that, look, if you'll just rely on me, that peace will come. And so I didn't put this in the book. If I ever wrote another one, I would include, it's called The Second Wind. I was a track runner. I used to run the mile and the half mile, and I used to just go and I would run. And you run to a point where you just can't run anymore. And you're just exhausted. One more step is almost more than you can take. And you get what's called that second wind. And when that second wind comes over you, and if you've never experienced it, it's hard to explain. But it's like your battery got completely charged up. And and you're ready to go again. And I think that's what I'm trying to relate to, this peace that passes all understanding, because it gives you, look, when you have that peace, okay, God, I get it. I know this is you. I don't like it, but I'm going to trust it. That peace comes over you, then you're definitely on the right path. But it takes a relationship. It's not just a Sunday morning and see you later type of thing. It's a walk with Christ, not just a hit and miss.
So Dennis, you were contrasting earlier fear and hope. How do you characterize hope, and how do you think hope fits into the kinds of things Ricky's been talking about?
I think about training. We've talked before about the discipleship of the military, what it does. And I can remember in my own career, the fact that they took you into very difficult situations. First, using a textbook. Second, using a simulator. Third, you were actually in the machine, in my case, the airplane, flying, and They put you in very dangerous circumstances, academically first, simulated and virtual second, reality third, and they made you practice over and over again until you had confidence that that which was given to you was certain, not maybe. It worked. It worked well. And what I noticed as I spent time in the military and then as a follower of Christ in my pursuit of the Lord, this idea of hope, which is the Greek word elpis, certainty. It doesn't mean I'm wishing something goes. It means it's absolutely true and certain that this thing is going to happen. I noticed that for the disciple, most of us don't rehearse what it means to be certain of who we are. What we do is we just wish that if bad stuff ever shows up, we'll be okay. And what that usually results in is our instinctive, servile, craven fear to run screaming off into the night, completely surrendered to the circumstances, problems, scary people, and events that are around us. And we've left God completely back at the altar with nothing to go for. I think discipleship has been deeply undermined because we've not had wingmen like a Ricky, like a Raymond, walking alongside me saying, here's how you practice this. Here's how you get this right. Here's how you have hope, which is certainty.
Well, Ricky, you heard a really eloquent notion that if we train well enough, we won't have fear. We'll just be certain that things will work out.
Here we go.
So is that your advice for people who have fear, that they just need to practice enough to be certain that things will work out?
Well, I love the absolutes. Don't get me wrong, and I think your analogy or your example, Dennis, was spot on. As far as if you do this, this is going to be the outcome. It's tested and it's proven. I think from a human faith standpoint, that it's easy said, hard to do. I've said that fear is easy until it becomes hard, and I think that I'd be crazy to sit here and tell you. I mean, I was laughing because I lost internet just now, and I'm thinking, okay, this is fear. I just lost you. So and I think you better practice. Say a quick prayer. But in all seriousness, I think that the practice does help. So it's easier to identify. I've got a real good friend that's going through a lot. He lost his son last year. His wife just had a tumor removed, and we're having some of these really, really deep discussions on, okay, where is God in this, and how do I keep from fearing? And so to be able to help him navigate through those steps, and it's not easy, and again, what we went through as a company, and some of my personal journeys. I just can tell you that as you enter it, if the quicker you can get to that place, the quicker the peace comes. But it's a walk by faith, and faith is it's just you build on it, you pray for it, and you use all the tools of the people and surroundings that you can to support it. But it's not as clear well, if I do this is going to happen, everything's going to be fine, because sometimes the outcome is not like you want it to be, and then you have to trust.
Raymond didn't like my idea that as faithful followers of Christ, we should train ourselves up in the ways of the Lord so and pursue him well. So I think what Raymond is advocating, if I have this right, is just sort of this mystical, faithy kind of, well, it just sort of comes to you, right, Ray? Is that where you're going with it?
Actually, I was going to ask Ricky the question that it seems like you're explicitly arguing that in order to overcome fear, I need more than just sort of a relationship with Jesus. I need other Christians who I've been involved with for decades who come alongside, and we do the instruction manual, the Bible, we do the simulations, we talk about it, and we do it together, so that when I'm by myself, I'm certain that this is the right path to go on when I'm afraid, realizing that I'm certain, not that I'll get a good outcome, but that Jesus will take care of me. So I think your question, your observation, which is a question for Ricky, is that what you see in terms of discipleship overlapping with your book, One Scoop at a Time?
Well, no question. I think, and I'll say this from a personal standpoint, for probably 4 years, the last 4 years, I've had a group of 5 other men, 6 of us total, that have on a daily basis. We take a book of the Bible and we take a chapter a week. But this sounding board is accountability. It's a place to go with issues. It's a confidential, safe place to go, especially when you're in the C-suite or if you're CEO. You need someone or something. But I think when you talk about disciples and discipleship, that's a verb to go, and that's to go and make disciples. That's to go and nurture and walk together. I mean, Scripture says we are to continue to meet together for that very reason, because hey, fear is going to come. We're going to have issues, and so when they come, how do you navigate through? And I think that part of that is discipleship.
Ricky, how do you tell our folks about how to do discipleship in the C-suite? How do you explain what you were and are as a follower of Christ in that role?
Well, again, I don't repeat myself, but I think it starts independently and individually in your walk. You have to spend time daily, weekly, and to begin, I always use the phrase, be able to hear his voice, to be able to go to him. You have to walk the walk in the good times. You have to be able to be transparent. And so when they see you, they know you're real. You don't have to beat them over the head with this Jesus, Jesus. At the same time, I want them to ask me, how are you getting through this? Or why, how are you the way you are? Because of my actions. I cannot remember who made the statement, but they said you should be witnessing at all times. And if you need to use words, go ahead. And so I want my actions in the good times to help prepare for the bad. So when things do get tough, they know, who can we get to, or who can we go to for that. It's a tough, fine line, especially today in the world that we're living in and what they're throwing at us from a management standpoint, and what our stance is. I want to live what I say. I want to be who I say. And
Ricky, how do we let people know about where to creep your social media and pick up a copy of the book? What do you guys have out there for folks to go check out?
I love it. Yes, absolutely. Well, we have onescoopatatime.com, which is a great place to go. A little bit more about me, my family, and about the book. There's rickydickson.com, all one, it's DICKSON.com. And we'll have the normal platforms, the LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all under, I think Instagram is one dot scoop at a time, because one scoop at a time had already been taken. So we'll have to figure out how to navigate through that. But the normal means, but those first three are first two, the onescoopatatime.com and rickydickson.com, or both, or go straight to Amazon and pre-order that wonderful book.
Ricky Dickson, former CEO and president of Bluebell Ice Cream. Thanks for being with us on the Disciple Dilemma, and good luck with One Scoop at a Time.
Thank you so much. Sure enjoyed the conversation. Could have done this all afternoon. This is fun.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for joining us. It's been fun.
Would you help the church think more about discipleship? Would you help us get the conversation started to talk about the biblical discipleship Jesus gave us? Please follow us. Our website, www.thediscipledilemma.com. You can find us on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and all the RSS feeds. If you'd follow or like us, you'll help us get leverage in the digital marketplace to talk about the fact that discipleship needs to be talked about. And as always, folks, thanks for listening.